Hello, heathens. Welcome to the Pagan Podcast. I need to tell you a lot of things, I think, in this episode. And yeah, just let me get started right away. So, for those of you who know, I have two projects. I have the Pagan Podcast and the Blótcast. The Blótcast was an alternative project in the time I couldn't work on the Pagan Podcast. And it was in English, and I try to talk about subjects that are interesting for me. And now I want to intertwine those projects more. So I promised to my German audience that I would translate the Blótcast episodes into German. I haven't had the time for that, and I want to talk about that later. But I will do it eventually if I find time and energy. And for the Blótcast, I will use it as the English version of the Pagan Podcast for now. This is the idea. So when I release a German episode of the Pagan Podcast, I will also translate it right away into English and will load it up to the Blótcast, so that every new episode will be in English and in German. This will happen every 2 weeks. And every other week, I will translate one of the old Blótcast episodes into German. This is the idea for now, so that the both projects are intertwining more. And then I thought about, okay, Pagan Podcast episodes, which are like 50 or 40, into English. But there's an issue with that. And it couldn't be done until now, because beforehand I had a second moderator. I had Christos, who was doing the episodes in German with me, and I would need to translate his part as well and speak his part as well, which would be a bit strange, I think. And in the fifth season of the Pagan Podcast, I also had a lot of interview partners there. So I would need to translate them as well. This is just not possible. So now is the time to translate the episodes from German to English and from English to German, because it's just me that is talking to you. And yeah, this is the plan going forward. And for all of you who listened to the Blótcast, I was away for like 9 months. It's a long time, and a lot happened in that time. And especially the last 2 months were very stressful for me. I had actually a vacation, or took some time off of podcasting, because there was so much going on. And for those of you who haven't listened into the Blótcast, welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. And I just give you a short recap on what happened in the last 9 months. I found work, so I'm working now again. I moved with my family into a new flat. I had a lot of great festivities with heathens from my community that we celebrated. It was very great, and that's pretty much it. And in the last 2 months, so much happened, and so, not in my private life, but also in the world happened. And this has really taken a strain on me, I felt. And maybe you feel the same. If you're the person who is listening right now. So, and I felt that this is putting more stress into me to look into my phone and doom scrolling and all of this need to keep my mind occupied from the stress. So I doom scrolled, watched a lot of videos, played a lot of computer games, and Trump was elected. We had elections in Germany. Every day Elon Musk is doing something other crazy. Instagram is just full of pornography, at least when I take a look at it. And Russia and Ukraine, Israel and Hamas, and so many things are happening right now. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to come back, why I wanted to talk to you in English and German, because all of these news that you're seeing every day is not real life. 99.9% of these news you're seeing don't affect you at all. And this is why I wanted to make these episodes in English and German, so that as many people can understand that it's important to realign with your roots, with yourself. And this is through paganism, through heathenism, or through faith. It doesn't matter what kind of faith it is. It's just important that you have faith. And with that long introduction, welcome back to now the 6th season of the Pagan Podcast. This is actually, the translation of the Pagan Podcast episode of the 6th season, episode 1. And yeah, as I said, a lot of things are happening right now in the world, and a lot have happened in my life. I went on this break for 2 months at around Christmas, and Christmas time was great. Wasn't stressful, maybe with the presents and stuff like this, but I have a young daughter, and for kids, it's Christmas just great. And as a parent, you feel that bit of magic again in these celebrations. It was really great. We had even like little gnomes, like invisible gnomes that had a door in the wall or on the wall, was just glued on. And we told her, that it's cold now, and so the beings of the forest want to warm up, so they live here for now. And she gave them presents like sweets and stuff like this, and me and my wife ate them in the evening or in the night. And then they would give her presents from the forest, like nuts or acorns or stuff like this. And it was really great to see that. But after that, the stress really took off, because one of my friends, I talked about him, Dirk, had to move out of Switzerland. So I needed to rent a huge van and drove to Switzerland through the snow and bad weather. And yeah, got him all of his belongings and drove to Cologne, where he's now living. And I think the only thing that is a bit of a mess is that there is not enough place for all of his stuff, but I think he will manage. Then I moved out of my old flat with my family and into this new one here. And that was stressful, of course. It took us way longer than intended. Then my daughter destroyed her last pacifier, and for all of the parents that are listening right now, it's also a stressful time with a lot of whining and crying. But yeah, she's a big girl. She managed it way better than we. I'm also focusing on my diet right now. So for those of you who know or doesn't know, I try to live mostly carnivore at the time, and I'm feeling great with that. It's a bit costly. I always have to look out for discounts in the supermarkets around me, but it's okay. It's a bit of hunting. And I started again to go to the gym with a good friend of mine that moved into a village nearby. And so we train like 2 or 3 times a week. And it's great to finally use my knowledge about dieting and sport and stuff like this and put it to the test with somebody. It's really great. And my work is working nice. I have a great boss, great colleagues. And my daughter will go to the kindergarten in like 2 weeks. So the stress won't end. And this stressful time really took a toll on me, and really was getting to my nerves and to my substance. And I thought to myself, when does it stop? And maybe I found an answer to that question, because there is no coincidence that I put out these episodes in English and German on the 28th of February, because this is the day of the great planetary alignment. 7 planets align today. And I heard that so many times in the last 20 years when I started focusing on these topics, and never thought much of it. Always thought that people are crazy or esoteric, and trying to make something out of that is something big out of something that is not. But I felt that this time there is something behind that. So I talked to a friend of mine, Thomas from Berlin. Greetings to you, about that. And he said, yeah, of course, this alignment, you can interpret a lot of that in that, but the most important thing is actually what Mars does, because in his interpretation, or in the books that he read and the knowledge that he gained about the subject, Mars is always a planet that is affecting Earth very much. And the last 2 months, the Mars was like going backwards on this rotation, and that meant that this energy of the Mars isn't there for us to use. And now, the last these 3 days, around the 28th of February, the Mars is stationary, so the energy isn't flowing at all. And now, the energy is so Mars is turning forward for the next 28 months. And this means that there will be a lot of energy for new projects. So everybody who's listening right now wants to start new projects, like in private or in business, now's the time, actually. And these 2 months of recession, I don't know if it's the right word, of Mars, I really felt that. And never felt it that much in my life. But yeah, this could be an answer to my question: when does it stop? Now. It stops now. So there's new energy for my projects. I finally have time and energy, and my thoughts are clearer than the last weeks. And yeah, let's talk about what kind of subjects I want to talk to you in these projects in the Pagan Podcast and the Blótcast. First things first, in this period of the Pagan Podcast, I talked about like of the 8 high celebrations. And I think in the Blótcast it was like 4 or 5. So I try to talk about Mabon and Lugnasat. I think these are the 2 that are still missing. And maybe I will find the time to talk about all of them, at least of the celebration that I'm doing with this high celebration or festivals. But at least Lugnasat and Mabon. Then in the Blótcast, I started to talk about gods, the Aesir and the Vanir gods, and I want to talk about those a bit more, I think, because we're not finished yet. So when all of the Blótcast episodes are translated into German, I will definitely continue this subject with the gods, with the Vanir, and with their missing Aesir. And with a friend of mine, I will talk about heroes, like folkloric heroes of German European culture. And let's see if I manage to translate those in English. I can't promise it, but I tried. When I talk about these heroes on my own, I will definitely translate them. But all the time when I have an interview partner, I won't translate it, because not everybody speaks English that fluently. I don't speak English fluently. And yeah, so let's see. And I wanted to ask you if you have questions about all of these subjects we are talked about heathenism, it can be questions about myself, it can be longer questions, shorter questions. Just mail me or DM me on Instagram and ask away. I would love to have at least one question per episode to talk about with you. And if these questions are longer, then full episode will be I will talk about this question then, try to explain all of it. The last thing, or the second last thing actually, I want to talk about why this episode is called Ain't No Rest for the Wicked. For those of you who know the band Catch the Elephant, it's a great song of them, Ain't No Rest for the Wicked. And I think it just fits perfectly for the feeling that I got in the last months. There is no rest for the wicked, the godless, the savages. It's a bit tongue in cheek, of course. Wicked, we are not wicked. We are just people with an alternative spirituality. But I was just thinking about, hey, what could be the subject or the main theme of this season? And I had my radio on, and this song was coming up, and it was one of my favorite songs. And I was singing it loudly, and I was just thinking, yeah, ain't no rest for the wicked. It's just perfect now. It just describes what I'm feeling perfectly. So this is the theme. This theme will also go on the Pagan Podcast playlist. It's actually, I don't know if I ever talked about it in the Blótcast actually. It's a Spotify playlist with like 150 heathen bands, and that is continually growing through the episodes. Every episode I will put a song onto this playlist. And yeah, this time it will be Ain't No Rest for the Wicked from Catch the Elephant. And the last thing I want to talk about is we're living now in this flat for like 2 months, and the spirituality, the rituals and all of this haven't started for now. And this weekend I will try to say hello to nature and to the beings around me. I try to make a bit of protection for the house. I will smudge the whole flat, and we will go into the forest nearby. There is a grave. What's it called? A grave hill. It's called like that. And there we will make a short ritual where we want to say hello to nature, that we are here now. So, and we are welcoming the good spirits of nature into our home. This is what we are doing this weekend. And maybe I will talk about it in the next episode. Yeah, let's put it like this. So for those of you who actually heard both episodes, English and German, you will notice that it's not 100% the same. It's the same script, but I needed to discuss a lot of things in the Blótcast for the people that are listening, and I needed to adjust the script a bit so that it makes sense in English, because I recognized I don't have the same grammar or don't speak the same in English and German. So this won't be a word by word translation of the English episode, of the German episode, because it doesn't make sense in English. Doesn't make sense? Yeah. So for those of you who are wondering, that's the reason. All right. So 80 minutes in, I think that's more than enough. Have a wonderful planetary alignment, and we will hear us in the next Blótcast, Pagan Podcast, Pagan Blótcast episode. Take care. And remember, I forgot that in German. I need to put it in next time. You are able to love? No. How does it start? I really forgot. You are able to love? I need to get this right now. Right. You are loved. You're able to love because you are love. This is very important. Sorry. That took me longer than expected. Hear you the next one. Bye-bye.